2022-23 season. A notable game called off that could have a ripple effect in the Big Ten. Michigan canceled Saturday's game against Maryland after consultation with medical professionals. The program has been dealing with a rise in COVID-19 cases. This move raises questions about Michigan's availability to play Ohio State on December 12th. With tonight's deadline to offer arbitration-eligible players contracts or allow them to become free agents, the Yankees plan to tender a contract to catcher Gary Sanchez, according to Buster Olney. Sanchez, who turned 28 today, happy birthday, struggled last season, hitting just 147 with 10 home runs. Soccer now, Cristiano Ronaldo scored the 750th goal of his illustrious career today. The 35-year-old star reached the milestone with a tap in the far post during Juventus' 3-0 win at Dynamo Kiev in the Champions League. And with that, we are keeping an eye on Ravens Steelers currently going on.
Naturally on a Wednesday evening.
Welcome to the Sports Center. We're going to begin, of course, with the NBA.
Yeah, a new season is upon us. Surprise, surprise. The league's 4-time MVP has a new contract. It is a 2-year extension, so big picture here is exactly what it means. Let's start with the fact that LeBron James is now guaranteed to be in the purple and gold for the next 3 seasons. That is through the 2023 season, and it does not include a player option. So, good news for you Lakers fans. His running mate, Anthony Davis, is still a free agent, but it's widely believed that he's just deciding on the length of his contract, and then he's expected to return to the Lakers. AD can receive a starting salary at 35% of the cap in 2 years, as opposed to just 30% this season. And don't forget that LeBron's son, Bronny, he's scheduled to graduate from high school in 2023. Yeah, that's the same year LeBron's new deal expires. So we'll see if he sticks around after this latest extension comes to an end. Now, to dive deeper into the financial aspect of LeBron's entire new deal, here's what it looks like. He was already scheduled to make over $39 million this season, and the extension replaces the player option he had for next summer when he could have opted out and become a free agent. So when this ends, LeBron will be 38 years old, making almost $45 million in the last year of his new deal. As for the new season set to begin December 22nd, LeBron was asked about this season's team on Richard Jefferson's podcast.
Can you all repeat?
We can. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, we absolutely can. Like RJ said with the Nets, first of all, it all starts with health.
Yeah.
You have to have some luck, and you have to have health. If we can stay healthy, but we did get younger. We got the 27-year-old point guard. We got the 27-year-old Sixth Man of the Year award in Trez. We got younger.
With Mark.
We got Mark, who's a Defensive Player of the Year, and his IQ not only playing against him in the NBA, but also playing against him versus Spain national team.
NBA insider Brian Windhorst is live now on SportsCenter with more on this extension. In particular, Brian, the timing of it. So why now? Why did LeBron agree to this extension today?
Well, see, just as LeBron, really for the first time, acting like a guy who's about to turn 36 years old. He's always been aggressive and flexible in his contracts as much as he possibly can be. As you mentioned, he could have been a free agent next year, but instead he is now under contract for as long as the NBA will allow him to be, because there's a rule that you can't be signed for a multi-year deal past age 38. This takes him to age 38. And this is, about insurance. It's about basketball mortality. It's about a guy who had a serious injury for the first time 2 years ago and wants to make sure that everything is locked down. I have to say that I was surprised by the timing of this.
Yeah.
But in talking to LeBron and the people around him, it is clear that he wants to make sure he's protected, and that's why this decision was made.
Yeah, I get it. To your point, he's turning 36 at the end of this month, and he said on the podcast there that they did get younger this offseason. How about Anthony Davis? Still a free agent right now, but expected to stay with the Lakers. So how does LeBron's decision on this extension impact AD's negotiations, if at all?
From what I am told, it is not impacted by it at all, that Anthony Davis is on a different wavelength. The Lakers were not going to have flexibility for next summer anyway because LeBron was determined to extend. Now, Anthony Davis has looked at more than 12 different iterations of a contract that he can sign for the Lakers. Not just now, but he's also, I am told, looking at what his next contract would look like, whether it's smart to be a free agent in 2 years or in 4 years. This is more complicated than I think it maybe needs to be, but Anthony Davis is going over this very carefully, and he wants to protect himself when he's 32 as much as he does when he's 28.
Can't blame him. Brian Windhorst with the very latest on what's happening right now in Los Angeles. Wendy, thank you.
Sage, we're following a developing story in college football that could have an impact on the playoff. Michigan has canceled its game against Maryland this weekend and paused practice due to the rising number of COVID cases within the program. The decision was made in consultation with medical professionals, and the earliest Michigan will be able to get back on the field for practice Monday, as they have Ohio State on the schedule on December 12th. And that's where the domino effect could impact the playoff. Number 4, Ohio State needs to play their final 2 games in order to qualify for the Big Ten championship game. A conference title holds weight now in the committee's eyes in years past. In the West Division, Wisconsin is already ineligible, as the Badgers have only been able to play 3 games so far this season. Wisconsin AD Barry Alvarez, who chaired the Big Ten's return to play task force, was asked about the Detroit News if the conference would have to change their requirements for the Big Ten title game. Listen to this. He said, quote, "I would think that if something would happen to Ohio State and they'd have to cancel another game, that's something that we've got to revisit. They're sitting up there, still ranked number 4. Our league can't keep them from having the opportunity if they have a chance to be in the finals. And keep in mind, just yesterday, the ACC approved a bye to Notre Dame's schedule. They'll have a week off before the conference championship game on December 19th. The next 10 days will be a very fluid situation." College Game Day host Reese Davis joining us now with much more. Reese, so what do you make of this idea that the Big Ten might amend their own rules here?
I think it's appropriate, Kevin. This is a unique circumstance. It's clear to anybody who's watched that Ohio State is the best team in the Big Ten. They're the only undefeated team in the Big Ten right now. And a couple of these cancellations have been because the team that they were supposed to face, at least one of them, a team they were supposed to face, wasn't able to play. So I think this would be appropriate if that is the path that the Big Ten chooses to take. I don't think that it necessarily guarantees that if Ohio State then gets to the Big Ten championship game that they would be able to get into the college football playoff. That's likely. They probably would. But I do think that number of games should matter. It doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all. It doesn't have to be disqualifying. But we've seen Ohio State and other teams, but Ohio State particularly, drop games that should have won and cost themselves a playoff spot a couple of times in recent years.
And with that, I was going to ask you, it's clear the committee hasn't used the 4 games against Ohio State so far. Do you anticipate that staying the same in the coming weeks if they don't play 7 games here?
I don't know what the magic number is, Kevin, or if there is one, but I do know that there's not a lot of room for error, or at least in my judgment, there shouldn't be. Meaning that if you are going to give Ohio